Hello and welcome to the Whoniverse and to this video. Now the other night I saw the film Joker starring Joaquin Phoenix. Apologies if I butchered the pronunciation there. Now I'll be honest, when I first heard the announcement for this film I was sceptical, especially considering the latest lineup of DC films. However, now that I've watched the film I can easily say this is a cinematic spectacle that is inventive, scary and ultimately layered, but remains brilliant and guaranteed to get people talking. This is a film that draws inspiration, yes, from films like Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. However, I feel this is a story that brings elements forward from comics like The Killing Joke and the psychology of the iconic antagonist, and manipulates this to craft a more unique character and overall a story that, for me, fits into the themes and ideas that make DC Comics so great. The comics themselves are presented with a sense of gritty realism, where the nights are long, the streets are grimy, and the people are just as disgusting. This is something that the Joker gets so right, and to me is where the films based on characters from DC Comics stand out. Think the Dark Knight trilogy and how it conveyed every decision, hero, villain, ideal and piece of equipment in a world that appeared grounded and much like the one we could see around us, allowing us to believe in these elements more. These were the last DC films I watched that I appreciated completely and enjoyed to a complete extent, struggling to find fault. Joker has changed this by containing a series of elements that made the Dark Knight trilogy so great, thus joining into this group of outstanding DC films. Now at this point I'm not saying that films based on the Marvel comics are any less believable or enjoyable, instead I'm suggesting that each comic publisher and in turn its related films match the themes and the audience that the comics convey to, and it's when they attempt to create something that is more befitting of the other theme or audience. Lines become blurred and it becomes less of a great piece of cinema and instead an attempt at copying a formula with money in mind instead of the craft itself. This is the pit DC fell into with its attempts to create a cinematic universe, being rushed faster than The Flash to attempt to copy the success of the MCU. However, DC shine when telling layered and emotional stories that reflect a darker tone and perhaps a story for a more mature audience. This is why I think more comic book films should be like Joker. There's no global threat, no CGI villain. Instead, this is a story of a mentally ill man who in his attempts to fight through a world that seems madder than he is. This is a story of one man and the consequences of his actions and his transformation into the iconic Joker. Now it's at this stage I like to say this video will contain spoilers, so if you haven't seen Joker starring Joaquin Phoenix and directed by Todd Phillips, then give it a go in your local cinema and come on back when you're ready to hear my thoughts and share yours in the comments below without risk of ruining the great film's details for yourself. Ready? Great. Now Joker is a standalone origin story for one of comic and in fact pop culture's greatest villains. So many great actors have portrayed the character in such a unique way, as have many scriptwriters and directors discovered with the actors their unique Joker. So with such huge clown shoes to fill, the pressure for this film was huge, and to say that it delivered, and more, really does make me feel like putting on a happy face. The film presents the Joker as we've never really seen him before, with simply brilliant ideas that revolutionise even the simplest of character traits that we've learnt to expect from the character. A key example of this is his laugh, something so associated with the character that it goes without saying. However, in this film, the Joker, or as he's originally called, Arthur Fleck, has a condition that is associated with brain injuries or mental illness that means he laughs uncontrollably when he's nervous or scared. This involuntary reaction causes Arthur pain as he wrestles with his own body in certain scenarios. It brings a whole new meaning to the laugh. If we begin moving away from what's come before and instead looking at what this film presents us, it's not a duel with a Caped Crusader, instead it's a tale of an outsider, a loner, a freak, a sad clown. The story of Arthur Fleck is ultimately tragic, as the further I followed his journey and evolution as a character, his life seems so much darker and saddening. I'm there in my seat thinking to myself as I slowly see his transformation from mentally ill clown and failing stand-up act to a political figure, a symbol and a joke that is more frightening than funny, hoping he doesn't become the clown prince of crime. This isn't a film that provides mental illness as an excuse for the actions he takes as he gains his Joker persona. Instead, this is a story that shows how the man who has struggled with happiness, love, life and laughter, in a literal sense, is only further beaten to a pulp by the hopeless wasteland of Gotham City in the early 1980s. As rubbish mountains form and the rich get richer and the poor, well, they simply get poorer, living in conditions similar to slums in something that almost feels dystopian. Arthur Fleck is a man pushed to his limits, and the further I ventured into this piece of cinema, the more I understood the toll that life had left on this person. I'm not saying I felt sorry for the Joker, instead I feel sorry for Arthur Fleck, who was pushed and punched and punished until he became the Joker. With the film being told entirely from the perspective of Arthur, it provides us with not only a true sense that we are following a very personal journey, as we are always close to this character, but also the fact that this story is told through the lens of Arthur's mind, as it becomes more deranged to us and clear to him. His thoughts and imagination jumbled into reality like playing cards shuffled with the Joker landing on the top, and at the end, Arthur on the bottom. One of the plot twists of the film being Arthur's relationship with Zazie Beetz' character Sophie Dumond, who is essentially a neighbour to Arthur, who after a brief conversation near a lift, is someone he believes is interested in him. In the notebook of his own mind, he writes her into key moments of the film in blood red ink. It's when this interpretation was made clear in a brilliantly made sequence that is simple and extraordinarily effective, that I realised that in this film, that it really takes the character seriously and shows how messed up Arthur really is, especially after the city abandons him by stopping the provision of his medication. The sequence made me question everything in the film as I looked back through it, replaying it in my mind, trying to stop looking through the eyes of the Joker and instead an outsider. Did the meeting with Thomas Wayne even take place? Was the entire film spared the final scene in the asylum one huge convoluted joke in Arthur's mind, and not even in reality? The already countless ways of interpreting this film become even more fascinating. The Joker has always had an origin story that has been shrouded in mystery and contradiction, and one of my favourite quotes from the Killing Joke comic being, "If I'm going to have a past, I prefer it to be multiple choice." Now this is something that the film Joker delivers to us, and not in the most obvious fashion. As I mentioned, there are moments where we are left to question the lens of Arthur's eyes, and the stage that is set in his mind. Did he kill his boss? Did he really meet Thomas Wayne again? Did the kids in the intro even steal the sign, or did he just keep it as the boss suggested? There are so many elements in this film, and so many ways that it could be interpreted. I was watching an interview as part of a Sky Cinema special, and Joaquin Phoenix says that no one will see the film like he does. And he's right, because for months he was Arthur, he was introduced as the Joker. This is a film which leaves scenes that are left up to the viewer to depict what they believe or what they think should have happened. Usually there are two main reasons why a film gets someone talking. It's either gosh darn awful, or it's brilliant and thought-provoking and sparks a discussion. And I think you can guess which option in the multiple choice Joker fits into for me. Now, without gushing out the entire plot of the film, I will say that Joaquin Phoenix was absolutely sensational in the role. He made one of the most complex and challenging depictions of an already iconic character that has been played by so many talented actors into his own excellent masterpiece. From subtle or not so subtle mannerisms to an expansive range of physical acting, and supplying us with an excellent portrayal of those immersive emotional scenes, combined with his ability to create such powerful moments in what would be just another scene in the wrong hands. From the tear in the opening scene to the dances and holding his breath in scenes to build tension, and not to mention the effort he went through to change his own body to meet the role. This is an actor that chooses his material wisely, and it's no secret he takes his time to decide on a role, which is more than understandable when this level of dedication is placed into a film and to a character. One thing that surprised me in this film, among many of the twists, was Robert De Niro's performance as Murray Franklin. He only has a small role in the film, but a huge impact on Arthur's story, especially as the film concludes. He does act like a chat show host, but that moment he walks through the curtain and points to the band on the beat, spinning and just doing exactly what a chat show host would do. It's not a breathtaking performance like Phoenix, however it is great nonetheless. For Arthur, it's this show that is this small glimmer of light that is never really allowed to enter his life, as he's sucked deeper into his own inner darkness, and that of the city of Gotham itself. Never to me has it looked so full of despair. It's brutal, beaten and on the brink of madness. The city is essentially a character in its own right, made possible by underrated set design and great cinematography from Lawrence Sher. I'm not trying to lash out at other comic book movies or the way they are shot. However, there is a distinct difference between how Joker is shot to many other comic book films. Take your typical film based on the works of Stan Lee. Marvel have the summer blockbuster fun fest with CGI battles which are absolutely fantastic to watch, and when done right are a true spectacle to behold, unlike the work of, say, DC Comics with battles against Doomsday or Enchantress. It's with the over-reliance on these scenes you lose those character moments, that deeper meaning and layered performance captured with close camera angles that make you believe you're in the room with a figure just a few feet away. Comic book films should be about more than just heroes and villains and their physical conflict. It should also depict a journey, one that evidently takes a toll and intrigues us with their motivations. Avengers Endgame showcased this in its first act with a variety of character-driven and emotional moments, however not to the same degree as Joker. As again, these are films made for different audiences, but also because I feel like Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips have redefined the comic book movie. They've made it more than just fight scenes and stereotypical conflict. This is something new and bold and could lead the way into telling more tales from the panels of comic pages, with emphasis on character and their evolution. Hopefully this will be the reincarnation of an established character from which DC can rise to new heights. Will the Phoenix that has potentially created this new universe return? I highly doubt it. I feel like as a solo film, this is a standout piece of cinema that explores a character of not only the Joker for comic book fans, but for the uninitiated viewer. This is a dark and twisted tale of Arthur Fleck and a deep and thought-provoking piece of 120-minute long entertainment. One last thing I couldn't stop thinking about when I finished watching the film was the ending. Now this may seem obvious for watching any film, but instead I was thinking of the potential for future films. As I've grown up with endless sequels, prequels, reinventions and reboots, it's hard not to. The ending depicts Joker rising, but not as this lord of crime murdering people for fun, but instead his own twisted version of justice, which is praised and followed by his own rioting audience, who loves him and what he stands for, as the oppressed snap into action with Arthur, now Joker, as their symbol of power. This leads to rioting, with an unnamed rioter murdering Thomas and Martha Wayne, creating the beginning of Batman on the same night of Joker's genesis, while also reinventing the meaning of the Joker. If Joaquin Phoenix doesn't return as the Joker, then I don't think we'll see the Joker as a different person or actor, but instead as an ideal, a legend, a figure that is used as an icon that inspires others to commit crimes and villainy. That Batman would have to battle this corruption and consequences of the actions of Arthur that indirectly led to the death of his parents, thus tying the two characters together like two threads in the same stitch. Batman, the symbol of justice, and the Joker, the symbol of chaos. Now I could talk about this film and its twists, references, outstanding acting, spectacular score, the cinematography combined with its unexpected take on an iconic story for hours. This is a film that is bold, devastating and compelling. It's a tale of a man's own self-destruction and in turn that of a city and its people. It really is a masterpiece and one that is no laughing matter. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed my review of Joker, please leave a like, put a comment down below what you thought of the film, and let me know. Let's get a discussion started. If you want to see more videos from me, I mainly do Doctor Who stuff, then please hit the subscribe button. And with all that said, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.